So this scientist is going to be working with our phagocytic cells, the S2 cells from Drosophila early embryos, and we're using these cells because they undergo phagocytosis at a high rate because they're embryonic cells. They got to grab up everything around them to keep growing and dividing. So he's got his 75 ml flask of cells on the bottom of the hood, and he's opening a clean pipette, and he's going to add Schneider's media to those cells. So Schneider's media is media that Drosophila embryonic cells need. It contains all the nutrients they need to grow and divide. So we want to keep this media sterile. We're going to use sterile technique, not let any bacteria have access to anything we're touching. He's untwisting the knob on the cover on the 75 ml flask. So those are clean flasks to which he's just adding the media. And then he's going to add cells to those flasks. This is called splitting the cells or passaging the cells or subculturing the cells. We're going from a flask with a high density of cells and we're splitting it into 2 flasks at a lower density. These cells divide roughly every 3 days. They'll double in number. So once we know the number of cells in our original flask, if we want to subculture them, we can figure out what volume of cells to add to the new flasks. So this is the flask that contains the actual Drosophila cells. They grow in a layer on the bottom of the flask, a monolayer, and this scientist is washing the cells off the bottom of the flask. So notice that he's pipetting up and down carefully on the bottom of the flask. That's where the adhesive surface is, where the cells stick. If he sets this flask down for any length of time, he's going to come back and do the same thing where he pipettes up and down to wash all the cells off the bottom of that flask. And then he'll go ahead and take a little bit of volume out of a volume that he's calculated in order to subculture to the proper densities so that in 3 days these cells will be at the right density. And he's going to add that to his fresh media. So now this subculture of cells has been passed from one flask to the next, and you can grow these for 3 days, and each flask should double in cell number from what he's putting in there today to what we'll have in 3 days. So we've passaged or subcultured our cells.